Hi, so I wanted to give some more specific advice about writing a review of this text in particular. And so, the first thing I like to draw students' attention to is that Between the World and Me is a memoir. And a memoir is a particular type of writing where someone with like a unique or like noteworthy experience, an experience or a perspective that's important to the culture for some reason, writes a book about their experiences. So, for example, um, someone who has a job that's of some importance might write a memoir. So, say a general in the military might write a memoir about their experiences during a war. A soldier might write a memoir about their experiences during a war. Someone might write a memoir about, I don't know, being involved in a particular protest movement or something along those lines. So honestly, you could write a memoir about anything, about anybody could write a memoir, but they're often about someone with an experience that's unique or noteworthy or like important to the culture for some reason. And so Coates is writing this book about his experiences as an African American man in the United States in our time. He's still a pretty young guy, so he's talking about the recent period of time. And I think his book is a response to the Black Lives Matter movement. It's clearly, he wrote it in response to all these, you know, uh, police shootings of African American men where a lot of times there seems to be little to no reason for why they were killed. Um, so that's why he decided to write this memoir, and that's why his perspective is noteworthy. But I want to call your attention to the fact that it's a memoir, because a memoir is inherently biased. The person is just giving their perspective. So it's not their job to consider all different sides, right? They're just presenting you with their view, okay? And his view is particularly valuable because we don't actually hear the perspective of African American men very often in our culture. And in particular, he's someone who grew up in a tough neighborhood, and we often don't hear their perspectives about what that was actually like, okay? I think another thing that you might think about for this review is focusing in on a specific theme, and that's totally gonna, a specific theme or a specific part of the text, and that's totally going to depend on you. So, for example, for me, the concept of the people who think they are white was very interesting to me and really kind of made me think about myself and how I define my identity as a white person. What does that actually mean? It got me to like question that. So that might be something that I would spend some time talking about in my review. Okay, so you can focus in on particular themes and talk about if they were valuable or not valuable or frustrating or whatever, or confusing or whatever you have to say about them. And then, the other thing I wanted to say is you should avoid putting words into his mouth. So if you're going to say, Coates thinks this, then you've got to give some evidence from the text to back that up, okay? So you can see Chatterton Williams is doing that in his review. He's kind of pointing out what he feels are flaws in Coates's perspective and Coates's sort of worldview. And he gives us evidence from the text to back up those criticisms, okay? And then, the other thing I wanted to suggest is you can bring in information from additional sources. So the two that I've given you are Coates's acceptance speech, for the National Book Award. And then also, I've had you look at the interview that he did with Charlie Rose about Between the World and Me. That interview was done shortly after it was published. So you can get a little bit more insight into what Coates's viewpoint is and what his purpose is with the text. By looking at those kinds of resources as well. So I hope these suggestions are helpful.